You're live.
Fantastic. Welcome, everyone. I will call the meeting of the Student Advisory Committee on February 11th at 10 a.m. or 10:02 to order. I don't think we can declare a quorum right now, correct?
Correct.
So, Pam, if we can't declare a quorum, how are we going to adjust the agenda officially?
We're just going to ask Terrence to provide his informational update with Steve McDowell and Carrie Kelly on community college tuition and fees, and we'll deal with the Robert's Rules of Order issues afterwards.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Then we can do a slight informal adjust of the agenda, and President Chang, you can go ahead and give your announcement.
I might have lost him for a second.
Yeah.
There it is.
I'm going to switch to a different computer. This one's glitching out, so just bear with me for 60 seconds. I'll be back.
Okay, no problem.
Just as introduction, we are joined here as well by Carrie Kelly and Steve McDowell from CT State. I think, Carrie, are you still interim CFO?
No, I'm happy to report I am the permanent Vice President of Finance and Administration, Chief Financial Officer. Thank you, everyone, for Connecticut State Community College. So happy to be with you this morning.
Thank you. We're happy to have you.
And Steve, what's your official title now?
I'm the Associate Vice President for Financial Aid Services and Title IV Compliance for CT State.
Super. Okay. Well, we just did introductions, Terrence, while you were
Thank you.
getting resituated. So
You can hear me okay? Great, great. So if it's okay, I'll just jump right in. I want to thank you all for making the time today to have this conversation. The real conversation is probably going to be with our finance leaders for CT State, but I wanted to make sure I was able to speak directly with you all as very important leaders and stakeholders for the SAC. And I've already spoken to a few of you who were on the SGA meeting at some point. I think it was last week. I lose track of time these days, but I think it was last week. And so I apologize if this is a tad bit repetitive, but it's important to make sure that we are as open and as transparent as possible. So what we're going to talk about today is the increase in community college tuition. And I wanted to, again, make sure you heard it from me and that we have as clear an understanding and as transparent an understanding as to why and what that impact is going to be. And so I'll start with the why. The why is that the system, to be quite honest and to be quite blunt, is facing some pretty significant financial challenges, okay? And I'll tell you that our financial challenges are not new. They are the result of a consistently declining enrollment since 2010. And you know, when your enrollment declines, your FTEs decline and your revenue for tuition and fees goes down. So that has been pretty consistent. I'll also tell you that at the same time, we have maintained basically the same level of faculty and staff and other sunken costs since 2010, 2013, around there. So you can see that the math starts to become really challenging. The other thing I'll tell you is that our community college tuition compared nationally is below the national median. And so I think we have fought hard to maintain a very competitive tuition and fee structure for our community colleges for a long time. Our enrollment decreased because of COVID. COVID has exacerbated our situation. Our decrease because of COVID is actually larger than the national decrease that community colleges have faced this period of time. And so again, that really puts a lot of pressure on us. And then the other thing I'll tell you is that, sorry, there's a random phone ringing in the background here. The other thing I'll tell you is that, we have also fought very hard to keep tuition flat. We've fought hard to keep tuition flat the past few years, knowing that every 10, 20, 50, 100, $200 that gets added to the fee bill it makes an impact, right? We take nothing for granted here. So as we have deliberated these tuition increases, we have done everything we can to take all these factors into consideration. We are doing everything we can to try to hold students as harmless as possible in this scenario, simply because it's not a student's fault that, you know, the system is under financial pressure, right? But at the same time, tuition revenue is indeed an important part of our financial system and structure. And so it has to be a part of a multi-part solution to get us back into long-term strong financial standing. And so again, our finance leaders for CT State and for the system have been working very hard on this. The last thing I'll say, and then, you know, Carrie, you can remind me if there's anything else you want to kind of ping me to talk about specifically before I hand it over to you. But the last thing I'll say is that we've run multiple scenarios in terms of what kind of increase, how that might make an impact, how many students that would impact. And again, this is where Carrie will get into more detail about that. But again, we're doing everything that we can to try to balance things out for the long term, so that we can continue to provide as great an education as possible, but also being very realistic and mindful of all of our, you know, all of our challenges that we have right now. So Carrie, did I forget anything before I pass it over? Okay, great. So I'm going to hang around for a little bit. I got a hard stop at about 10:20. But again, I appreciate everyone's time, and I just want to say I really appreciate all of you who serve on this committee. I know it is inglorious work at times. We're not always talking about the most fun things, but it's really important to have your engagement, to hear your voices, and we are listening to you. We are listening very closely, and we take your input very seriously. And so we value that, we cherish that. And so I just wanted to, again, thank you for all that you all give back to your institutions and to the system. Okay, I'm going to stop talking, Carrie, hand it over to you.
Thanks, President Chang. You did a great job explaining all the finance stuff. You're going to put me out of a job. But I just wanted to give you a little context and background. So tuition for the community colleges has been flat for the prior 3 years. And, you know, the board takes very seriously its responsibility to increase tuition and fees, because this very much interacts with their mission of accessibility and affordability. And so this is not a decision they take lightly. And it's one where they asked for the recommendations of the community college leadership, and it was unanimous that it's the right decision at this time. So the tuition increase was considered yesterday by the Finance Committee. It would be an increase from the current full-time tuition of $4,476 to $4,700 even. That's a $224 increase. As President Chang explained, you know, we've been in a serious enrollment decline even before the pandemic, and that's really been exacerbated. So when we look at where we are in enrollments, we've dropped 34% since 2014, and it's been really challenging. We've been lucky to receive federal pandemic aid, but that is time limited. And so that's going to expire in the current year, and we sort of are falling off a cliff. We need an additional source of revenue. The state is our primary funding source, and they've been very generous, and we've done very well advocating on our behalf at the General Assembly. But you know, what we've seen is that tuition revenue as a percent of our overall revenue has dropped from 41% in 2018 down to 28%. So we need to do something to increase revenue, but it's a fine balance, because we don't want to price this out for out of reach for our students. So the resolution that was adopted yesterday by the Finance Committee increased the amount of student financial aid that's going to be available by $2.8 million. We set aside 15% of our tuition revenue to redistribute back to students in the form of institutional financial aid. The goal we've given ourselves historically has been 15%. The board said, let's increase that to 17%, because if we're going to ask our students to pay more, we need to put more money into the pool of funds for student financial aid. We did this, as President Chang said, with lots of various scenarios and lots of consideration. How do we compare to other community colleges in the market? We're still well below the rates that are charged in our neighboring states, New York, New Jersey, and all of New England. I'd point out that Vermont has an $8,600 a year full-time tuition. We're still far below that. And one of the things that's really important is that we want to make sure that our tuition is still fully covered by Pell. So students who receive Pell will see no difference. We're just going to be getting more money on their behalf from the federal government. Also, students who receive PACT will see no difference. And now we're going to have an enhanced amount of $2.8 million to provide to students in the form of student financial aid. So we understand this is an onerous ask on our students. For a full-time student, it would be an increase of $224 per year. That's a $12 increase for one credit. We take this seriously, and we're here to answer any of your questions on how this rolls out and what the implications could be. I see a hand without a name. I'm happy to, you just have a comment or a question, happy to answer. We've got Steve McDowell here, who's our expert on student financial aid as well.
Go ahead, Louis.
I just had a question. I know this is not a big percentage of our student population, but I do know a couple cases of students using the Actus form to finance their school. Would that be affected in any way? Just for
So this is Steve. I can comment on that. So the money that comes in for institutional aid, we are able to use for students who are able to file the ACTA. So this only benefits that population of students. So this is a big victory in my opinion.
thank you. Thank you.
No, I appreciate the question. Thank you.
Another quick question for Harry. Just to make sure I have the facts written down here. So you said the increase will be $224 per year, not per semester, correct?
You heard right, it's $224 per year.
Okay, and then also that attendance has dropped 34% since 2014?
Indeed, our full-time equivalent enrollment has dropped 34% since 2014. And I was talking about in 2018, the percent of revenue that we got from tuition has dropped from 41% to 28%. So you can really see the impact of both the trends that we were already on, our baseline trend for declining enrollments, and that's really been accelerated and exacerbated by the pandemic.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm just going to jump in. I'm wondering, is there a way that we can get this kind of information written down? Like, I know like we're hearing it a lot and there's a lot of information, but like just like a small like report, doesn't have to be super extensive, but just like statistics and facts listed out, I think would be great to see on paper. I mean, it would be a little bit more tangible too.
Absolutely, I think that's really helpful. So I will send to Pam Helene the staff report that accompanied that was presented yesterday to the finance committee, and this is the information that they had, and I think it'll contain everything we talked about this morning and be really helpful for you all to see and explain as student leaders and on your campuses.
Yeah.
Harry, I have that. Julia, I'll send that to you and to Elliot and Brandon as well for distribution.
Great, thank you so much.
Is that something we can get also?
Sorry, Tanel, they'll distribute to the rest of the committee.
Yeah, I actually sent it out the other day to everybody. It's a long packet, so I apologize, but we'll send it out again, maybe just with the staff report.
Okay.
Jocelyn?
Yes, I know there's several, each college maybe does something differently. I'm aware of Gateway, Housatonic, and Norwalk, following with the FESP program, an economic program for students that raise families or having financial hardships, and this is before COVID. Will programs like these be affected with the tuition increase?
I'm unfamiliar with the program that you're referring to, the FEFP. Maybe you could tell me a little bit more about it and I could help answer that question.
Absolutely. I know from my experience, it's they host, not only they have like you get a personal advisor for outside of college, so whether you're like a single parent or you're going through condemnation or so, students that'll have that one-on-one resource to get advice from and get resources to go forward, as well as they do get financially incentive for each class they take at the end of the semester. They receive a SCSU check for financial reimbursement for tuition for having good academic standing. I've seen students where it's just like every penny counted, so it helped with childcare, and other students just like having that extra resource of like the guidance was helpful. So I'm not sure. I know this was around like the shoreline area that I'm familiar with, but I'm just not sure if these kind of resources will be taken away due to the increased tuition to make up for the financial loss.
Jocelyn, without knowing more information, I'm gonna bet that this is an externally funded program. It sounds like a partner program. Maybe if you wouldn't mind, can you just like shoot us like if there's a link or something like that that kind of explains the program, or just something like a document that we can kind of look into. We can confirm that, but my guess is that this is about kind of straight tuition. Right. And so when we increase the tuition, it should not affect external partner programs. That is the way it should work, but let's confirm that. So anything you could provide to help us do a little homework would be really appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Lorenzo,
Go ahead. Go ahead, Lorenzo.
So, my question was, and I know this is kind of a difficult thing to estimate, but where would tuition stand if we also include the winter and summer intersessions? Do we have like a rough I idea? I know that classes can kind of fluctuate in like availability, but is there like a rough average? Because I know there are several students I know here that they go through school almost year round, but I wanted to give them a clearer answer.
So just to understand, Lorenzo, your question, you were asking what the financial impact would be for a full-time student who also took intersession classes. Yeah, I'm happy. I can crunch those numbers out and provide that information to Angelo and Pam, who can share it with the full SAC committee. It would be slightly more than $224. I think it depends on the number of credits. So I would just presume in my analysis, the student would only be able to take 3 credits in each of those intersessions. That seems pretty reasonable, right?
Yeah.
And we can calculate that out for you.
All right. Thank you. I'm with
Happy to.
Three Rivers, by the way. But thank you.
Thanks.
See any other questions? Any other questions for President Chang and Carrie? Thank you, President Chang. Have a great weekend, and thank you for joining us. Steve, did you want to talk a little bit about how they increased the grant, the Pell Grant amount, even though our tuition's going up? Maybe a little bit about financial aid.
Yeah, so with respect to the Pell Grant, I mean, the full-time amount just came out maybe a week or two ago, and it is at present the same as last year or the current year at $6,495 per full-time award year. That said, there is still a lot of talk that the grant will be increased. I mean, the government reserves the right to increase it. The talk has been up to another $400, which would be fantastic. There is a much broader discussion that floods my inbox daily for doubling the Pell Grant, which would, for a community college population, especially ours, be fantastic. Because what that would do would be essentially to cover tuition fees, books, and then those extra allowances for indirect costs like housing, food, transportation, and things like that. So while tuition is increasing, I would expect the Pell Grant to increase as well. The increase in amount to the institutional aid is only going to help populations like the undocumented and DACA students. It's also going to help out students who we see that transfer into our colleges that aren't eligible for PACT. Students that have a prior bachelor's degree who aren't eligible for our state program and Roberta Willis. So that extra institutional aid is really going to be a big assist from the financial aid side. But we also rely on, things like the federal Pell Grant, and, we do have student loans available. Federal student loans are out there, but, we would caution, especially if your intent is to move on to a four-year school, if you have the ability to save your loan eligibility, because there is a cap. You save that to a higher cost institution like a four-year state university or otherwise where you truly would need it, especially if you're able to take advantage of a program like PACT where you could attend tuition and fee free. Any questions you have, you can reach out to me directly. You can reach out to any of my colleagues at the financial aid offices. We'll be happy to help you. Even data-wise too, I'm happy to provide any metrics or statistics that you might be interested in.
I have a quick question that you helped me think of, Steve, but it's more related to the $224 increase to community college. Pardon me, this is my first time attending, and I'm just beginning to get more familiar with Connecticut State colleges and universities and the distinguishing between the schools. And then I know UConn is treated completely separate, but Charter Oak State College, is that treated like a four-year school? Is it a community college? Is the fee going to affect Charter Oak State College students? Please explain.
So I'm happy to take that one. So although it is a college, it is a four-year institution, and they have a separate fee and tuition schedule. And the action that was taken by the finance committee yesterday just pertains to the 12 community colleges, the 12 two-year institutions. At the committee meeting, staff indicated that there would be subsequent conversations at the next finance committee to discuss impacts and potential increases at both the CSUs, the 4 CSUs, and the Connecticut State Community College. So I think we will see future action, but at this time, the only thing that has been done by the board is the 12 community colleges.
So question. I was just wondering, I'm currently I'm representing Northwestern Community College, and I know there's a decent amount of DACA students and undocumented students that assist to the college, and sometimes they have a lot of stress under their arms because college after community college becomes really expensive, and I was wondering if there's only other resources other than the actors that these students could apply for or reach for, because I feel like me knowing this type of resources, I can be like, yeah, you can go here to ask for help, and further up your education, and be able to have better opportunities later on. So I was just asking that.
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, the institutional aid is the only thing that we would be able to offer because every other source does require a FAFSA, an actual FAFSA to be completed. That said, I would frequently check in with the C4D folks if you haven't already. They keep, I know, a list of available scholarships and opportunities around. And I also do my own homework too. And anything I come across, I do pass to my colleagues at the colleges for all students to apply for. Documented on DACA or not. So if you have anything that you come across that you're unsure of, because I will say there are, I hate to even say this, but there are, fraudulent opportunities for scholarships and things like that. So if it's something that you're not sure of or something that you think may be fishy, or you just want to vet through your financial aid officer through me, please reach out and let us know, and we can certainly do the homework for you to make sure it's a legitimate source.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I have a question. I was just wondering in terms of classes, because I know some classes are only offered at a certain time. Right now, like they're either online or like really early in the morning. So if we're always in tuition, some students might need to work more. Are they gonna put more availability in terms of the time for classes?
I think this resolution that was considered yesterday and advanced forward by the Finance Committee doesn't really speak to when class times and when they're offered. I know it's something that our academic team looks at very carefully to make sure that they're providing courses at the times that students want to take classes where it allows students to achieve that work-life balance, whether it be meeting a school bus because you have children or work commitments or sick family members. So it's something that we're always striving to improve. There was no changes in the resolution about time of classes. So I hope that's helpful.
Any other questions for Steve or Carrie? And again, they're reachable via email if something comes up, or if you think of something this weekend and you want to, follow up, you can send it to Pam and I, and we'll get some answers to questions that might come up. Just so that this group knows, and Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, universities and Charter Oak, the tuition discussion consideration will be done in March.
Correct.
With community colleges right now. Okay, perfect. All right, well, Steve, Carrie, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Sure.
Pam, it might be helpful to share the agenda. Can I do that, or can you do that?
I can do that, I think. Hold on a
Okay,
second.
perfect.
Let's see if I can find it. Could you, because I don't want to lose my YouTube link. And-
Yes, share the right screen. So it might be easier for people who have a point of reference. There we go. So where are we? Are we going to go back to the adoption of the agenda? Julie and Pam, or what do you want?
And with Julia's blessing, I can take the roll and establish a quorum and at least get the previous meeting minutes approved. And then you can give whoever's going to do the COVID-19 update.
Yeah, absolutely. Do I need to motion or move us, or can you just go ahead and do that, Pam?
No, I'll do the roll. And
Fantastic.
just so that everyone understands, quorum for this meeting consists of presence of at least 3 of 5 of the universities in Charter Oak. So I'm going to do that attendance right now and see if we've got 3 of the 5. So I will call out your campus, and if you'll let me know who you are so that I know whether it's a rep or an alternate. Okay, so let's do Central. CCSU.
Haneen, I'm the rep.
Thank you. Eastern.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm the rep.
Super. Thanks for joining us. Southern.
Brandon Ivy, I'm the rep.
And Western.
Patrick Moody, I'm the rep.
And Charter Oak.
Tennell Rhodes, and I'm the rep.
Super. All right. And for the community colleges, I need at least 7 of the 12 of you. So as Nantuck.
Kimberly Shropshire, I'm the rep.
Super. Capital. Anyone from Capital on the line? Absence is noted. Gateway. And I don't believe we have a rep from Gateway. Absence is noted. Housatonic.
Jocelyn Eagle, I am the rep.
Thank you. Manchester.
This is Elliot Ryan, I'm the rep.
Thank you. Middlesex.
Julia Noriega, I'm the rep.
Thank you. Naugatuck Valley. I believe Will let me know he was not going to be here. Absence is noted. Northwestern.
Hi, my name is Luis Sanchez. I'm the rep.
Thank you. Norwalk. Anyone from Norwalk on the line with us? Absence is noted. Quinnebog Valley. Anyone on the line? Absence is noted. Three Rivers.
Hi, my name is Safia. I'm the rep.
Thank you. And Tunxus. Anyone from Tunxus on the line? Absence is noted. 2, 6. We do not have quorum on the community college side. So unfortunately, Julia, we cannot move the approval of the previous meeting minutes, and we can carry those to our next meeting.
Sounds great. Would the best move be to move to the COVID-19 update?
Yes, please.
Fantastic. Do I need to make a motion for that?
Nope, we can just move to the item.
Fantastic. Awesome.
So just a quick update on COVID-19. President Chang had sent out an email prior to the start of the spring semester, and I believe I forwarded it all to you with regard to our opening plans. Now that the spring semester is underway, and you might have heard recently in the news that the governor's executive order with regard to indoor masking is expiring or is in the process of expiring, although the legislature voted late last night to extend the mask mandate in schools at least until February 28th. We just want to let everybody know that CSU is still looking at our options in collaboration with the Department of Public Health, with the CDC guidance to see what that might look like in terms of the masking on our community college and state university campuses. You know, as the science and the data changes and the trends for these COVID-19 cases trend in a positive direction downward, there's hope that we might be able to look at the possibility of reducing some of the mitigation strategies on the campuses. In terms of what it looks like for right now, it's business as usual, but we are taking stock and looking at our numbers in terms of, you know, our campuses have never been hotspots for COVID-19 infections or for super spreader events or for spread in general. In fact, our campuses have really been safe places in terms of limiting the amount of, you know, campus or COVID-19 exposures, which is good news. So we will keep everybody posted. Decisions that will be considered will obviously be made with local campus leadership, in addition, you know, collaboration with the system leadership. And obviously we'll make any announcements in terms of changes as the information becomes available. But for right now, it's business as usual. You know, we still have students testing weekly on the campuses. We moved from a vendor Semaphore to Quest Diagnostics and another company that are providing COVID-19 testing on the campuses for unvaccinated students and employees that are participating in that program. And in addition, obviously the masks are required. The physical distancing where possible is encouraged. But we're hoping that the fall semester, this upcoming fall semester, is really the true sense of back to normal, normal in air quotes, previous to when the pandemic started, as we see these cases go down. So hopefully that'll be good news and that'll be better news moving forward. Some of you had asked me with regard to what the status was as it relates to a requirement for the COVID-19 vaccination for students. With regard to that, we are keeping our options open in terms of for the fall semester. The legislature and or the governor will need to take some type of action before we can consider doing something like that. Some of you might know that the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine is required for community college and university students, especially those living on campus. Those are all required by state statute. Those are written into the statutes, which is why we're able at CSU to enforce them. The COVID-19 vaccine is not yet, and the governor and the legislature would need to require that, likely for us to be able to require it of our students. But the good news is the majority of our campuses are vaccinated. The campus spread has been, you know, zilch to minimal, and we encourage our students to get vaccinated, get boosted per the CDC guidance, and any adjustments to our COVID-19 policy and procedures, obviously we will make our campus communities aware. And I think that that's my COVID-19 update. If there's any questions, otherwise we can jump on.
Fantastic. Thank you. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh wait, I just have a quick question. Do you know, you said the majority of students are vaccinated. Do you know at all the ballpark percentage of what that is?
So each campus has a campus COVID-19 coordinator that is responsible for administering the testing and the statistics. So they would have that information for your campus. What I can't see who's asking the question. What campus is asking me?
Oh, that's Elliot. That's from Manchester. I was just wondering what we were overall.
Yeah, so Regina Ferrante is your COVID-19 coordinator. Talk with TJ Barber. He's the associate dean over there. She sends out an email weekly that talks about COVID-19 infections, what the percentage of vaccinations is, the percentage of folks that have attested, and all that data is broken down by individual campus. So she would have, actually today's Friday, something should go out today. If I see it come through my inbox, I'll forward it along to you. But all of your campuses have COVID-19 coordinators that have access to that data.
All right, thank you.
Angelo, is there a dashboard that's published and updated for each of the campuses?
No, we're not using the dashboard anymore. It's just the email from the COVID-19 coordinator. Was there any other questions?
I see Haneen has her hand up.
Yeah, my hand has been up for a minute. I just wanted Pamela to give like the count for how many people are on the YouTube.
Oh, how many people were watching?
We have 8 viewers. Right
Okay, thank you.
Jocelyn Eagle from Housatonic. Because we're if CSU is perspective about the lifting the mask mandate, how is there any change to the attestation form and enforce it and make it more stricter? Perhaps daily symptom checks.
So all of our campuses, via the dean of students or the associate dean and the COVID-19 coordinator, are making sure that the compliance on the campuses is up to par. So students who have not been attesting to their vaccination status, or students that might not show up for weekly testing on a regular basis, they're being tracked down and spoken with and dealt with through a progressive discipline system. So that might be, for example, at Gateway, there's only a couple of entrances, so their IDs are turned off and they're flagged to go to the dean's office. Whereas some of the other colleges that have multiple entrances are using the student conduct process to gain compliance. I will say that our numbers for non-medical exemptions across the system have been decreased as the person who sees all the medical the non-medical and religious exemptions that come in across the system. We had a large chunk of folks that didn't want to get vaccinated because they were waiting for it to be FDA approved. Now that Pfizer and Moderna are, they have the ability to get those 2 vaccinations if they choose to. So we saw people shift from unvaccinated because they wanted more time to think about the vaccine and decide if it was something for them, for it to become FDA approved, to getting vaccinated. The daily symptom checker, although some folks are doing it outside of higher education and maybe some other schools are, it's not recommended by the CDC. But we are making sure that those students or faculty and staff that test positive for COVID-19 know to stay home, that they must attest to their status. And we are looking at the possibility of changing the way we do business for the fall as it relates to how we collect vaccination status. Should this become a requirement via the state of Connecticut, via statute, maybe we look at a software system that allows you to upload the vaccine card or your vaccination card, as opposed to, not doing the attestation form. But I will note that, the attestation form is done not just for students, it's done for faculty and staff as well across the 17 schools. So we're monitoring this. We need to tighten up the way that we kind of track this data. But the attestation form, really does give us good data in terms of knowing who's attested, who hasn't, and what the vaccination rates are on the campus. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you for going further in depth about it.
No problem. Does anybody else have their hand up? I think that's it. All right, Julie, it's back to you.
Fantastic. Well, yes, thank you for that update. Next item on the agenda, number 6, is a joint meeting with the Board of Regents and the SAC, and the discussion of some potential topics. Do you want to start with an update about that?
So, am I still muted? No, I'm muted here.
No, you're good.
Okay. Chair Matt Fleury and President Chang had asked for the SAC to do a joint meeting with them. I believe we scheduled it, Pam, for March, right?
That is our hope, to use the March meeting of the SAC as a joint board SAC meeting.
And it would be virtual, which is good. But we wanted to make sure that there were some shared topics and ideas that this group could discuss. And obviously for that meeting, we'll make sure we have quorum and make sure everybody has ample notice to attend. Some of the ideas and that we thought maybe, and I know Julia and Brandon, you had provided some feedback and suggestions, but things that have been issues for the SAC in years past that kind of continue to be percolating to the top are, campus mental health, public safety, access to education, barriers to completion, tuition and finances can be a part of that. But we wanted to kind of pick everybody's brains to see if there's something that is kind of a shared topic that can be discussed at this joint meeting, keeping in mind that, we have folks here from the community colleges, Charter Oak, and the state universities. So it should be topics that kind of apply to all in terms of the constituent units. So I don't know if anybody had suggestions or feedback, or if those ideas worked well, or if anybody had anything additional to add. We want to make sure that this is it'll be an informal, for the most part, conversational type meeting, but I want to make sure that there's an ability for the SAC, and I know Julia and Brandon echo that, to have a robust discussion with the board leadership and President Chang. You can unmute yourself and just go ahead. You don't have to raise your hands.
So I suggest that we come up with at least a few key talking points, like as a group that that we want to specifically address, and maybe come together and based on topics that all of our colleges seem to have in common. That way we can go at this as though we are a unified front.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that, Elliot, you had your hand up, so go ahead and then I'm going to go after you.
I just had a quick question. If you guys know how many kids are effectively using the timely care system that we have in place.
I do, actually. I get a weekly report, and so do your deans of students. I will say, and I can actually look at it right now, I would like, and I know others across our system would like it to be more widely used at the community colleges. But I'm not sure, and maybe we can either talk a little bit about this today or another time. We're trying to figure out how to get the word out there to students, because it's a great service, but I don't feel like it's being widely used across the 12. 1,131 people have registered it for timely care services across the community college system. The majority being female, utilizing it, and the number one college that has used it so far is Manchester and Gateway are the two highest users so far. So anything we can do to bring that number up, and I know Charter Oak is coming on board in the next month or so based on the grant that they received through the governor's office for mental health. So 12 community colleges have the timely care, and so will Charter Oak. And a reminder, and maybe you could help share the word with students, it's not just mental health counseling. You get the 12 individual counseling sessions that are scheduled based on your availability. They can be via video, they could be via phone if you're not comfortable doing the video. There's Spanish speaking folks that are counselors through timely care. You have the ability to read and learn about the counselor before you select them, what their specialty areas are and their background. But there's also Talk Now, which is 24/7, 365. I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm stressed out about this exam or this paper that I have to do, and I need to talk with somebody on demand, either via text message or phone call. That's also part of our contract with timely care. There's nutritional counseling. So, maybe you want to get back into the swing of going to the gym and, eating healthy. There's nutritionalists that you can meet with, dietitians, to get that information and meet with someone on a regular basis. That's not part of the 12 counseling sessions. Unlimited usage. And then there's also the medical part. The medical part, I think, is huge, especially because some of our students don't have access to health insurance. So, I maybe have COVID symptoms, maybe I have a rash, or, I'm thinking I'm feeling sick. You can actually meet with a medical provider on demand in a specialty area, and they can actually diagnose and assist with certain kind of health issues via telehealth. They can also call in, send in prescriptions for non-narcotics for those students who might need, You know, maybe they have strep throat, or maybe they have an infection and they need, you know, some kind of medication. So that is all widely available, but we could use some assistance with getting the word out there to, you know, for students to be able to use it. It's available to all students at the 12 colleges, as long as they're registered for at least one class, and the 12 counseling sessions reset every academic year.
All right, thank you. For everything you just said, is there a document that tells like if I go into Timely Care, is it going to tell me all the things you just told me of what it offers?
Yes, and I will send you the link. It's timelycare/CT State.
All right, thank you.
Angela, Jocelyn Eagle again from Housatonic. I know a wide issue, at least in my college, we have is students not checking their school emails and the lack of communication since we no longer communicate through personal emails. How about, I know with the attestation form, you can't go outside of the self-service without seeing that attestation form the first time. What about doing that again, but with register for Timely Care? So then students can register, and then as soon as they get into their college, you have an additional link so they can re-access Timely Care.
That's something that we could definitely look into. I do want to say though that we, let's see if I can show this. In your MyComnet page, it's listed there for Timely Care. So all you have to do is go to the MyComnet homepage, and then you're able to get the access to the Timely Care page if you're looking to do it without having to go to the external site. It's not a requirement that we can, you know, force people to sign into. I mean, obviously, we don't want to force people to go into counseling. That's got to be something that they would want to do on their own free will. But I think you're right. You know, people are getting lots of emails. They don't want to necessarily have to deal with, you know, lots of spam. But we've tried to get the message out via Everbridge and some other sites as well. But really, I think the best place to kind of go to get more information would be on the MyComnet site. I was trying to show you guys, but it's not working at the moment.
I see Safaria, you have your hand up.
Yes, concerning Timely Care, do we get like a report from the student about their experience with Timely Care or the provider or anything like that?
So we at CSCU have decided not to get any kind of feedback back from Timely Care. Let's say you're a student that uses Timely Care for one of the counseling sessions, and you know you also meet with a counselor on campus at the college campus. You're able to access your notes from Timely Care and share them with the on-campus, on-ground counselor that you meet with. But there's no report sent back to the college on any kind of notes or things that are disclosed at the Timely Care counseling session. And here's the MyComnet page that talks about, this is in your MyComnet. I'm logged in as a student. Hopefully this page looks familiar. If you just click this Timely Care link in here, this will bring you to Connecticut State's Timely Care with the login site. You know, there's FAQs, how to access everything I just talked about. I mean, there's even yoga classes and other types of health and wellness classes, meditation that's open. I know Pam does these on a daily basis. So if you want to join, her, you're able to sign up for these free classes in addition to the other wellness components that I talked about. Are there any other questions?
Lorenzo, I see your hands up. If you want to go ahead, you can.
Okay. So I just wanted to refocus our attention a little bit as to what we are, what central topics that we want to bring to the Board of Regents. And if I could make a suggestion, looking at this as though, looking at this from the perspective of what the Board of Regents can do, what its purpose is, and what generally like it means for all of us and for students. They can cover a broad range of topics. A lot of it I think, let me back up a little bit. So yes, if we're aware of what they can do for students, then we can better gear what we would like to say as a group to them. I also think it should be our top priority. And if anyone would like to meet with me at some point after the meeting, one of our priorities should be ensuring that we continue to have a quorum for our community colleges at these meetings, because it doesn't look good for us if our community colleges can acquire a quorum and pass for official meetings. Otherwise, I would propose that we that we get together and establish an official statement regarding recent decisions for tuition. But I don't know if I can move that we make that we table a decision for next meeting or some resolution that we'd like to pass off to the BOR for like some kind of official statement, and we be able to deliberate on that, because we don't have quorum. But
Right, yeah, I'm not sure I understand, Lorenzo, what you're asking or suggesting. Julia, do you?
I think so, and definitely interrupt me if I'm wrong. I think the point is that we should, and it's a little hard just because we're towards the end of the meeting, we don't have quorum, is to kind of come together as a group with as many people as we can that are reps and kind of have a unified statement about
yes,
what we want to discuss with the Board of Regents. So I think like that's the point, is that we want to have something that is unified from all of us that the Board of Regents can actually do something about and act on,
yes,
instead of just like bringing up issues that they might not be able to do anything about.
yeah,
Well, yeah, this meeting though is going to be a conversation. It's not necessarily, so it's more of a dialogue as opposed to
Yeah.
any kind of action item. Pam, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct. The board wants to hear the voices of the students on issues that are of importance to you. Generally speaking, if there is an action item that comes from any of our advisory committees, they go through the standing committees of the board. So if there's an issue of academics or student affairs, it'll go to that committee. If there's an issue specific to finance, it will go to that committee. The purpose of this joint meeting will be to hear student voices about a variety of issues, and then the board will equally ask for your opinions about issues that are of importance to the board. So it's kind of an exchange and almost identifying priorities that are shared. So it's not necessarily that business will be conducted, but a communication and an exchange.
yeah. And I agree. That's why I want to ensure that we all of us can come to a decision and reach a consensus, so that when we have representatives, not necessarily for at the joint meeting, but so that we all know where we stand on these subjects.
And because you only have an hour, everybody has a ton of things. Students are, I was just talking to Julia about her paper that was due, and you guys are swamped. In the last 5 minutes here, if you wanted to submit suggestions to Julia and to Brandon about the issues that you would like to hear the board discuss, the board will also submit to this committee issues that they would like to discuss, and hopefully there will be a blended agenda.
Okay.
But you know, there's not a whole lot other than an exchange and a conversation that can occur in an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be great if people have ideas. My email is always open. And when we close, I will email everybody that report that we talked about earlier for the tuition increases. So everyone will have my email. So when ideas come up, I'm here to hear them.
Off of that point, I do think that we should make a group chat of some sort so we can all communicate with each other more effectively. I feel as though like emailing it is a form of communication, but I feel as if a group chat would be nice. And I know it adds to Lorenzo's point, so we can all just like be in the group chat and talk about issues that matter to us in a less formal setting. I think that would help us.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's something that we can do. Like when I send out this email with the report, if everybody adds their phone numbers, we can make a group chat.
You know, Microsoft Teams could work really well. You know, I use that for a lot of my classes, and I think that'd be a good form. Everyone, I think
Yeah.
Microsoft Teams could work.
Yeah, how about we do that? I know Will, I don't remember what school he was a representative of. Me and Will were working on doing that, so we can get that started up again. Awesome.
Great.
Super. If we could have those shared, that list of possible agenda topics from the SAC within the next week to 10 days, we'll get the board's list to you and hopefully commit to that March shared meeting.
Fantastic. Awesome.
3 minutes to go.
Will you be sending out another invitation through Outlook for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay, because
Absolutely, 'cause
I showed up last Friday and found out, oh, the meeting has been canceled and or rescheduled to today.
yes. So you are now on the official distribution list to now, and we won't have that little hiccup again.
Excellent.
Great.
Fantastic. Just before we adjourn, are there any other items that we want to discuss within the next 2 minutes?
Yes, Jocelyn Eagle again from Housatonic. Just a final thing. I understand that since with the Board of Regents, it's collaborative between the state colleges and the community college. Good job. Community colleges, sorry, coffee. But is there any chance, however, we could put some points that maybe as a collective is significant to the community colleges and separate from the state colleges? Because I know like the community colleges are getting a whole revamp.
So right now, the Student Advisory Committee is defined statutorily by the board. It's an arm of the Board of Regents, but it's defined by statute, the makeup and the membership and the composition. I can tell you as we move towards Connecticut State, and I did just forward you all an email regarding the substantive change document that we submitted today, or going to submit today. So feel free to take a look at that. That'll talk more about the community college merger. We do need to look at the composition of this group to make sure that there's fair and equal representation across the constituent units. You know, we have Charter Oak, the online school, we have 4 state universities, and we have 12 community colleges. So part of that will be a review and audit of what the SAC looks like in terms of populating it from the campuses and how that will be more evenly balanced over the next year or so. So really this group, the charge right now is to talk about issues that are universal and uniform enough that apply to the 17 schools equally. But that suggestion is duly noted and something that we're looking at.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So, and I'm just, just to get into the flow, can I motion to adjourn the meeting?
No, you can just declare you don't have a quorum, so.
Oh, right.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay. Then I will declare that go ahead, Haneen.
All right, I do want to add a few things. I know that the gateway doesn't necessarily affect me because I am from a state college, but when we do have something that's announced, we go towards social media, and I saw that when he showed it, you have to like scroll down to find the link for that, and it might be difficult for people to find it and for it to be shared. I do feel as though it should be something that's like shared on social media. I know when our blueprint came out, we are planning on posting like informational things about it and having people like know that it's out there and make it easily like accessible for everyone. So I think that would help. I don't know if like certain schools have a social media. We have like an official CCSU page. I was wondering if maybe other schools have that too, particularly the community colleges, so they can like spread it on there so it'll go further. And I do feel like it's a really good resource. I wish that more people were aware of it and that they would use it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely should be posted on the social media of each of the individual schools. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah.
And I wanted to add on about the YouTube. I do think that there should be at least like a comment section on there so that people could reply and give their feedback on there. I did look at it a few minutes ago and there isn't something like that. And I know that they're in the meeting, they can hear us, but I feel like they should also be able to say something and we should like gear towards what they're saying as well because they are the public and they should have a say in what is going on here. I don't know if anybody else backs me up on that or thinks that should be something we should look into, but I do feel as though that's important.
Generally speaking, Hakeem, we don't invite public comment to committee meetings. But those, if the public has questions, they can certainly submit them to the chair and co-chair of this committee for response. And because commentary is not retained on the YouTube recording, the chat, we had really no way to retain the history of that within YouTube. So for those couple of reasons, we've chosen not to publish a chat or we have chosen not to enable the chat function in YouTube.
And for any of the board meetings.
For any meeting, we
Right.
really have no way to retain that as historical documents. So within that
Okay, but
function.
if someone
So,
were to like, I understand, but if someone were to like reach out to you, it would get brought up in another meeting?
yes. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would be Julia and Brandon's responsibility to announce that they had a comment and a question, and they would be addressing it either within this committee or any other committee that it pertained to.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Anything else before we wrap up?
Good.
Okay, so I will call this meeting to a close at 11:03. Thank you everyone who came in online and on YouTube. I hope
Thank you.
everyone has a great weekend.
Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all.
Hi, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have
Bye.
a great weekend.
And your live stream has stopped.
Thank you.